All right, we are here with another TPA MRP interview. I'm excited that we're joined by HOMEE this time. It's Wes Jones and Brandon Donatelli and Ed from Profile Gorilla, who's the partner in all of this. So we are talking about MRPs, TPAs, what they mean to the industry, asking everybody the same series of questions. You guys know the drill by now. So I'm going to start with, I guess, Brandon, to go ahead and introduce yourself and have either of you share the background of HOMEE as well.
Yeah, Brandon Donatelli, Chief Revenue Officer here at HOMEE. Been here for a little over a year, pushing almost a year and a half, I'd say here soon. And I'll let Wes introduce himself, and then one of us can give you a little background on HOMEE.
Okay.
Yes, Wes Jones, Chief Operations Officer at HOMEE. Been here a little over a year also. Was in the industry over 30 years, the first 20 plus with Chubb on the carrier side. Then went to Civility on the software solution side. I was the first US hire. And then with CoreLogic on sort of the data software solution side with them. And now
Perfect. Okay. Share a little bit about HOMEE because you are unique in this space.
You know, a lot of people often ask, how do we get the name HOMEE? They kind of wonder, where that came from. And HOMEE is originally was Home Experts.
Okay.
So that's how we get the extra E. But as it turns out, we got your back has become kind of a slogan for us. So we're kind of your homies, right? A little bit on the name there, the etymology of the name. But HOMEE started as a direct repair solution that was really born of the founder had an HVAC issue. Wife called. He was out of town on a business trip, Tampa, Florida, where our home base is. Gets kind of hot in the summertime.
Yep.
And she had no AC, and she couldn't find anybody to come take care of it. She called him. He struggled to find somebody. As he tells the story, he had a nice steak dinner that he had to put a cover on and go outside and make some phone calls, and took a little bit longer than expected. And he ended up finding somebody, but had to pay $500 to get him committed to show up tomorrow on a Saturday type situation. So HOMEE was sort of born, out of that need or necessity. And then over the first few years, I think at an event like this, a carrier or two took an interest in the model, the business model.
Yep.
And the rest is history. So we've got some great partnerships with folks like Liberty Mutual and State Farm. Desjardins up in Canada was a partner early on, and we've just continued to grow and develop the claim solutions that we offer. And I'll let Wes tell you a little bit about how in your world, we're another TPA, but we don't identify as a TPA. We're a little bit different.
Yeah, we really are. We are a personal software company. So we're making software. We're not so much about the services offering as much as we are about the software offering. And through the software, we have multiple products. And through those different products, we offer different types of solutions that aren't being offered today in the industry. So we have a CAT solution, which is not out there. We have a sales claims solution. We're even looking at a solution around denied claims or claims under deductible. So we can go to a carrier with a full suite of products and help them. And then it's how we deliver those products, which is very different in those solutions to carriers. Today, you usually see a carrier give, a claim to a TPA or their network, and they give it to their one local franchise. Right? We have a much different business model around a marketplace and giving multiple contractors an option and transparency and visibility in that. So it's a different type of solution that we don't consider to be a network or a TPA.
Okay. All right. So from your side of things, Wes, we'll start with you. Maybe not a program or a TPA, but what do you see as the biggest challenge or pain point in the industry from your side of the aisle?
So what we've heard in talking to either personal experience or what we've heard in talking to carriers and then policyholders is transparency is lacking and insurance. Like I was just saying, every carrier gives it to a network manager, network gives it out to their local network member in that one city. That's the only option. And it reaches out and back, and there's very little transparency for the carrier or for the policyholder. They don't have visibility into what is happening. They don't have visibility into the date, times, the expectations. There's also no choice. It's the one option. So HOMEE's really looking to solve those two items, those two challenges. So we're bringing more of a marketplace solution as opposed to just one contractor marketplace solution where you can choose who you might want to solve that, do the repair, solve the problem for the policyholder. And with that comes transparency.
Yep.
If you have a choice, you need data in order to choose somebody. So looking at rating, SLAs,
Yeah.
and availability and things. So there's a much different solution that we think gives a much better policyholder experience, and that's really what HOMEE's focused on now is policyholder experience.
Anything you want to add? And I'm curious also what you view as the biggest pain point on the contractor side in the whole claims ecosystem right now.
Yeah, I think contractors are facing constraints in terms of profitability, right? The cost of operating and doing business just continues to get exorbitant. It's skyrocketing, right? And I think for contractors to really effectively stay, ahead of the curve, it, requires quite a bit of work and quite a bit of knowledge around what the levers in the industry are that are driving that.
Yep.
And then I think as a vendor, I think if there's an appetite to adopt the right technology and utilize it in the right way, it can be a huge resource in helping managing your margins and managing your operations so that you can work and operate a little bit more profitably. One of the things we do at HOMEE that's important to us is we don't want to be an additional strain on the cost. So we've really set our cost model for accepting assignments or jobs through HOMEE to be much lower than the industry standard. So it's a much more desirable option for vendors to want to come do work for us.
What do contractors need to do to be effective and to be successful on HOMEE's program?
I think a couple of things. First and foremost, we try to have contractors that are professional. So a lot of it is how they present themselves,
Sure.
behaviors, that sort of thing. The other part is the communication aspect. We ask them to, set the expectations, deliver on it, communicate if they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a rocket science solution. We're talking. This is very basic, but be professional about how you present yourself and how you conduct your business. Communicate, set that expectation, uphold it, and if you're not going to be able to meet those expectations, follow up with more communication. Make sure people understand that. So to us, that's two of the biggest things when we're working with contractors. That we see the successful ones. We've actually talked to some very successful contractors in our marketplace, and ones that are not as successful, shall I say?
Yep.
That may not be in our marketplace anymore. And these are some of the characteristics that we see how to operate their business, what makes them successful.
One of the things I'll add too is obviously, our host here today, Profile Gorilla, is something that we don't just utilize their service. We're actually partnered and integrated right into our software solution, which I think is a testament to our commitment to, getting the best contractors out there that are, highest credentialed, best backgrounds, highest ratings. And I think that's pretty critical and key.
Yes. Okay. Talking about pricing for a little bit. So there's Xactimate, there's Symbility, there's custom price lists that a lot of contractors are learning to build now. Do you require a certain pricing methodology from contractors? What's your take?
HOMEE doesn't require anybody to use any specific pricing methodology or system. However, our carriers usually will mandate that. So they'll want it to be written in one system or another. From that, they get their data. If you're not writing it in their system, they're not able to get their data. So they're all about it. They want their data to get that. It has to be in the system. What we then try to work with the carrier to say, is that software solution the best solution for every type of loss, from small loss to total loss? Are there instances where you might need time and material solutions or tech solutions or other types of things? And if so, can we then use those to write estimates and or work outside of the price list that they have, and what are the requirements for that? So HOMEE won't mandate it, the carrier will, and we'll try to work with the carrier to understand what their requirements are within that system.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that one? No?
No, I mean, well, yeah, we want to meet our vendors, and we're very pro and vendor centric. So we want to meet them where they're at with their capabilities and the systems that they use. So we employ a team that in-house can help write estimates. We don't want to lose the opportunity to have a good pro or vendor do work in our system
Mhm.
because they don't estimate in the right language, right? We
Yep.
don't want that to be a barrier to getting good quality work, and we don't want it to be a barrier to having relationships with good vendors. So there's some flexibility in there, and we are partners to the vendor in the sense that we promote to the carrier that there's not a one size fits all in estimatics. We can use a couple different systems in different scenarios, and we really encourage our carriers to be a little more flexible on when we can use custom pricing and how we want to use it and what format they want it. And I think that is something that's really important, and it really, solidifies our partnership and our commitment to our pros.
So why do you view TPAs, MRPs, networks in general as part of the ecosystem? Why are they important? Where is their value in the claims ecosystem as a whole?
Well, without a managed care network or a contractor or a TPA, there's not many homes or properties that are getting repaired
Mhm.
or rebuilt. So, I mean, the carrier is there to provide the coverage and the
Mhm.
promise to, make someone whole, to indemnify them. And then you've got the entire ecosystem of these vendors, out there in the field, basically doing the heavy lifting
Yep.
of repairing the property. And they have to be there. I think that's just table stakes. You need those folks, but how you interact with them, how you make it efficient, how you make it a great customer experience. To me, that's what differentiates all these networks. The technology, the transparency, the communication. That's what's differentiating these. There's different business models which make it easier and a better customer experience, or maybe perhaps less easy and a not so good customer experience. That's out there in the ecosystem. So I don't necessarily hold all those pros and those contractors accountable.
Mhm.
To me, it's a lot of what network are they a part of, what ecosystem are they in terms of the technology. That to me, I think is what's differentiating. But you have to have those big policyholder properties back.
Okay, you almost entirely answered the last question, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. What do you what do you do to retain the contractors once they're using the platform? Once they're in HOMEE and they're good contractors, you want them to continue doing work with you. What are you doing to retain those contractors?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious is continue to bring claim volume, right? So if
Yeah.
we're bringing more business, they're going to be, more inclined to continue to work through getting familiar with our systems and how we operate. We want to be easy to work with, and we want to make sure that the vendors, we're a value or a revenue stream for them that they value and want to continue to work with. And I think we show that in the way that we've built our systems and the way we support the vendors.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, I think that's where they want to work. They want to be partners, not, pawns.
Yes.
So
Partners, not pawns.
that's right.
Good terminology. Ed, anything you want to add in here?
Questions. I know historically HOMEE was kind of marketing and focused on claims, smaller claims and smaller dollar value claims. Is that still your focus? Is that focus evolved? Kind of, where you guys currently at with that market fit, and where you see yourself going in the future?
Good question.
Take it away.
Yeah, so you're right, Ed. The HOMEE, I'll call it 1.0,
Sure.
was based off, as Brandon said earlier, sort of coming out of the property management and that direct-to-consumer space. That was lower complexity, simpler losses in that world. Now that we're 100% insurance, it's entirely different. The need by the carriers is different. Our capabilities are very different than they were in sort of the HOMEE 1.0. So call it HOMEE 2.0. It's handling all losses, like you said, cat losses, daily losses, denied claims, emergency mitigation, and emergency services down to back to the state. We have a contracting network that is insurance experience, contracting network that is, say, like plumbing networks. So we've got a whole mix of services and then software to back that up that allows us to be able to handle anything and everything, which is much different from say 2 years ago.
That makes sense. Yeah. So my second question is, I know recently you guys announced kind of a partnership and a secondary brand called MyCat Marketplace. You guys talk a bit about that. How does that, integrate with HOMEE, and what additional solution does that bring to what you guys are doing?
Yeah, MyCat Marketplace is really an interesting solution. There's nothing like it in the industry today, which is, there's in one space it's very interesting because you'd think, hey, there's no competition. This thing's going to hit it out of the park. And in another frame of mind, you're thinking, well, it's really different. And how do you get people to adopt something that's new and different? But we've really been fortunate that we're able to bring a couple different types of solutions into one platform. So we have this sort of vendor management dream software solution that allows you to kind of take and manage all of your resources. Don't just think, vendors and restoration contractors, but engineers and consultants and potential additional IA staff and, any kind of augmentation to the claims processes that you need in a resource manner is in there and able to be managed. So planning and building your resource protocols and putting all that into place before an event occurs, before there's a surge event or a catastrophic event is key. And then having some really sexy predictive weather analytics and mapping capabilities that I think are state of the art. They're definitely something that we're seeing is very attractive to a lot of the carriers that we speak to, but also many of the vendors that we deal with that don't necessarily have the budget to, implement some of these types of software. And we're putting it at their fingertips as well to give them the capability to utilize it to both understand if they want to expand their footprint or maybe, dive into a little bit of, catastrophe response, helping them understand where to mobilize, what's entailed, what's in it for them in terms of what kind of claim volume they can potentially be seeing. So I think it's a really cool solution that the industry needs because we know with every event, we've seen these Texas freezes now starting to happen more frequently, and we hit the constraints and limits of maybe what the current resource and vendor pools are able to provide. And we've been able to really nicely fit in there and supplement that with a good solution that I think provides services and additional manpower where needed. So it's a really cool solution. We're very excited about it, and we think it's going to be a big hit.
Perfect. Well, Wes, Brandon, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you, and we will be seeing you at other shows this year, I'm sure.
Great. Thank you for having us, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ed.